Welcome back to part 2 of our MechCommander single mech challenge run. Picking up from where we left off, we are now entering Operation 2 with our significantly damaged Mad Cat. After some repair work, we're ready to jump right back into the action.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors prepare for combat.
Starting off on the first mission of Operation 2, our only objective here is to escort a stolen clan Hunchback 2C to the extraction point. The trouble is, we're separated from it by a wide river. I begin exploring a bit, and the Hunchback comes under immediate vehicle attack. It wins easily, but it tells me that we're going to be on the clock here. I begin moving along the river, trying to get high vantage points to reveal the surrounding terrain when I pick up a group of small sensor contacts. In the meantime, the Hunchback once again has to deal with attacking vehicles. This mech is a short to medium range build, with its primary weapon being a very powerful Clan Heavy Ultra autocannon. It does extreme damage at short range, but has very limited ammo, and unfortunately, Falcon is not a very good shot. South of the river, I move up to deal with a large group of Saracens supported by a couple of aerospace spotter vehicles. The latter are technically unarmed, but can call down powerful airstrikes. In this case, it's clear the rear one is preparing to destroy the bridge to prevent us from crossing to reach the Hunchback, so I decide to use my own artillery strike to prevent it from doing so. Now that we can cross the river, I run up to help Falcon destroy some more pesky vehicles and bring both mechs to the southern side of the river. You can see that the Hunchback is already showing a lower health bar. This isn't due to the light damage it received, but rather its decreased effectiveness from expending all of its autocannon ammo. It's only providing light fire support from here on out. Soon we come across a group of heavier vehicles, but a conveniently placed fuel truck allows me to immediately take out the rearmost enemies. In the end, they don't put up much resistance against the combined firepower of both clan mechs. I grab the container salvage and continue moving both mechs to the south-southeast towards the extraction point. On the whole, we've really only faced token resistance so far, but unfortunately for me, that's about to change. As I approach some buildings, we're suddenly faced with multiple incoming mech signals. First comes a Hunchback W with its own short-range heavy autocannon. I back up to engage at range, but it is soon followed by a Hollander 2 with a long-range Gauss rifle. I continue to try to kite away from the Hunchback, but soon it just devolves into a melee with the enemies doing a surprising amount of focused fire damage on my Mad Cat. They're soon joined by another Hunchback and quickly tear through multiple armor components on the Mad Cat. We're legged and outgunned, so I'm forced to restart.
This is Hunter.
Mission
Taking
failed.
fire.
On the next attempt, the rear aerospace spotter manages to strike the bridge. I could still continue the mission, but I decide that my odds are better with both mechs linked, rather than trying to clear the 3 mechs in the southern section solo, so I go ahead and restart. On the following attempt, I'm successful in preventing the bridge from being destroyed, but this time I quickly move both mechs to the east of the northern part of the map. Because I'm a bit more aggressive now, the Hunchback actually has plenty of ammo to assist in fighting. We encounter 2 Cougar light mechs, which we quickly dispatch.
Hunter here. Enemy mech destroyed. Hunter here. Have a new contact on my screen. Taking fire. Acknowledged. Hunter here. Spare parts for everyone.
Moving forward, we encounter a couple more, which are simply no match for the combined firepower of the heavy and medium clan mechs. One strategy you may have noticed is when I get a mech knockdown, I switch targets to a different enemy that is standing and fighting. This is to try and reduce the amount of damage I'm taking by keeping multiple mechs on the ground as much as possible, rather than just completely focusing on a heavily damaged enemy.
I'm on it, sir.
It works well in this case, and I'm able to juggle them both until they're both destroyed.
Yes, it's a mech everywhere.
I head south, hoping I can go around the remaining opposition to reach the extraction point, but as we approach, we're spotted and engaged by the 3 mechs that defeated us earlier. This time, I have a much better positional advantage with the narrow land bridge connecting to the south side of the water. I engaged the first two mechs at range while dropping a small artillery strike on the narrow strip of land. Then, I slowly back off, trying to stay back from the short-range focused hunchbacks. I managed to knock one of them down in the middle of my second artillery strike, but I eventually get backed into a corner. The enemies all move into range and get a crushing hit on my Hunchback 2C. It's not dead, and I'm not worried about keeping the weaponry on it, so I continue to fight as best as I can. We manage to inflict critical damage on both Hunchbacks and finally trigger an ejection on the left one, though my Hunchback is now out of autocannon ammo.
This is Falcon. My mech's nearly out of weapons.
Hunter here. I'm taking fire.
I am now out of ammo.
The second Hunchback falls soon after, leaving just the Hollander 2. Both of my mechs are in danger now, so I charge in, trying to get underneath the Gauss rifle range and consider making a run for it. He backs up and scores one last Gauss rifle hit on the Mad Cat, but fortunately didn't do enough damage to destroy any components. One more volley takes him down. During the short jog to the extraction point, I check the status of the Hunchback 2 and note, while it's out of ammo, the autocannon is still intact and it only lost a heavy flamer. The lasers and clan sensor may come in handy later.
Mission objective complete. Mission successful. Commendation for low drop weight.
Back in the mech bay, I strip off the components from the newly acquired Hunchback. I replace the Mad Cat's stock inner sphere sensor with a better clan sensor and replace all of the LRMs with a single PPC. In the purchasing screen, we now have access to a couple more refit trucks and a mine layer, all of which I buy. Since I now have a total of 3 refit trucks, I decide to bring one along for the following mission, as it will allow me to periodically repair and refit my mech.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors prepare for
This is
combat.
Hunter. Have a new contact.
Operation 2 Mission 2 requires us to destroy all power generators and get all units to the extraction point. I start heading towards the objective when I'm met by a group of 6 vehicles. The Bulldogs are the biggest threat, but are limited to short range, so I back off to safely engage them from afar. I clear the remaining enemy vehicles and continue on. Walking forward, we encounter our first perimeter alarm. If you approach too closely, they will start beeping rapidly and, if not immediately destroyed, will send out an alert. Clearing it, I head to the northeast where I encounter my first enemy minefield. Remember when I was talking earlier about being aware of the surroundings for clues? This one came in the form of the barricaded road leading to the minefield, which in this case I overlooked. I encounter another group of vehicles to the east, but I'm able to destroy the crew barracks before most of them become active, making them easy targets. Further east, we encounter some turrets along with some more vehicle defenders and a light mech. For some reason, they decide to filter in one at a time, allowing me to mostly deal with them in turn. Thus far, the quantity of defenders has been high, but not particularly dangerous. I move in, capturing the turret control and an HQ building, causing some notable parts of the map to be revealed, which we can visit later. I move north to the main power generator when I'm greeted by a heavy catapult mech. My first volley of 3 PPCs does him significant damage though, and I'm able to clean it up relatively quickly, scoring the full mech salvage. Not that it'll help on this run, but it's still pretty cool nonetheless. I destroy the generator and head west across some bridges to be greeted by some missile carriers and a hunchback. While the number of enemies on this mission has increased over prior missions, the individual fights themselves haven't been too dangerous. The refit truck is making what otherwise would have been an extremely difficult gauntlet of enemies much easier. To the west, I encounter a Centurion guarding a container stack, and later, some vehicles guarding 2 other salvage buildings, all of which fall before us. Some of these will score us clan equipment that may come in handy in the future. Heading east to the forested area, I decide to burn through the forest rather than walk in between the trees. Did you notice why? There are more of those barricades indicating the presence of a minefield. Sure, I could shoot every tile to set them off, but this seems a little more fun. We're near the extraction point, but still need to destroy the other power generators, so I head that direction now. Here, we encounter some elementals for the first time, which are basically infantry with power armor. Not super threatening, but quite annoying if they stay inside the weapon range of our loadout. Once the enemies are dealt with and some more sweet salvage is obtained, I head to the extraction point.
Mission objective complete. Mission successful. Commendation for low drop weight.
Back to the loadout screen, I buy another refit truck to replace the one that was used last mission and head straight back into the fray.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors prepare for combat.
Our only objective here is to destroy an enemy convoy. We're dropped on the opposite side of the river from the convoy and I begin hitting them at range. I score a rare cockpit hit and already take down one of the hunchback defenders. The convoy is already on the move though, so I have to push forward along the riverbanks to stay with them. The power of the extreme-ranged clan ERPPCs really gets put on display here, as I'm able to continuously engage the enemy across the river while avoiding most of the return fire. As I continue to move along the riverbank, we come to a more narrow strip of land that allows a couple of jump jet-equipped Cougars to jet across. I begin engaging them when my game crashes. I guess this wouldn't be a classic PC game challenge without issues playing on modern systems. I give it another go and again begin engaging the enemies across the river. There's no big headshot landed this time, but by the time I reach the big hill to the east, I've accumulated some significant damage on the defenders. Now that I'm closer to the road, I'm able to start attacking the convoy vehicles themselves. Using my long-range weapons and an artillery strike, I manage to destroy several before they again move out of range. I head to the southeast to try and cut them off once more and send a camera drone to give some vision across the river. I position at the very tip of the shore, which gives me a few seconds to barely engage the final 3 convoy vehicles. But I'm not fast enough. They turn down the road before I can get the last 2. I drop my last artillery strike, which destroys one of them, but the final vehicle escapes me. Now it's a mad dash to try and find a way to reach the convoy before they escape off the map. I'm not even sure where the crossing is, but the pathfinding is sending me steadily southeast. I encounter a large group of enemy vehicles which send LRMs my way, but I keep going, not even bothering to engage. As I enter the city, it becomes a full-on gauntlet of enemy vehicles with long-range missiles flying at me, impossible to completely avoid. I make it through though and leave the city behind, enemies hot on my heels. I soon come across a group of salvage buildings. Do I have time for salvage? No, but that doesn't stop me from grabbing one anyway, I just couldn't resist. Back on the run, we head through the suburbs and continue to receive LRM fire. Finally, there's a bridge ahead. I race across with a couple SRM carriers behind when a Bulldog heavy tank rushes up and completely blocks my way. The SRMs trap us from behind and I turn to engage them when the tank decides to pay us back for the headshot earlier.
Mission failed.
Ah, poor Hunter. It's time to give it another shot though. I play the next attempt similarly to the last, engaging the enemy across the water. I drop an artillery strike on one of the rear trucks and manage to destroy one of the Cougars across the water before he can jump to our side. The second Cougar makes his jump, which I immediately punish with a knockdown. I'm doing a much better job this time keeping up with and then moving ahead of the trucks, all while inflicting damage to the escorts. This allows me to reach the big hill and outcropping ahead of the convoy. I finish off the second Cougar, then move north right up against the river just before they can approach. This turns out to be a much better position than before, where the road passes nearer to the river. One by one, the trucks and escorts pass by, only to be met by both my long-range ERP PCs as well as the shorter-range lasers and regular PPC. I drop my last artillery strike to augment my firepower, and soon there are only 4 trucks remaining. The first gets by me, but I destroy the second, which took a closer path. The short-range Hunchback escorts are helpless as I engage the final remaining vehicles.
Feels like target.
Mission objective complete.
Enemy vehicle
Mission
destroyed.
successful.
Feels like target practice indeed.
Commendation for low drop weight.
I decide to switch up my loadout a bit this time, dropping a Clan Large Pulse Laser and ER Laser in favor of a salvaged Clan Gauss Rifle. More on this decision in a minute. I also pick up a couple of newly available refit trucks, which the game is being very generous with at the moment. I bring one along for the ride.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors.
We're now entering Operation 2 Mission 4, where our objective is to destroy the Smoke Jaguar Hyperpulse generators. This is our first mission with a time limit, meaning that if we do not complete it within 15 minutes, the mission ends in failure. I move up into the city, quickly taking care of several perimeter alarms and light vehicle resistance. Things pick up quickly as we are engaged by a couple of supporting light mechs. With the addition of the Clan Gauss Rifle though, our firepower has increased quite a bit. It does the same front-loaded damage as our PPCs, but with a 33% quicker cooldown, giving it a significant DPS advantage in a protracted fight. Normally, the limited ammo would present an issue, but our refit truck takes care of that, for this mission at least. I move up to the northeast to begin assaulting the base, tearing through the static defenses and wall to try and gain control of some of the turrets. This really gets their attention as we're first attacked by an Uller and then an enemy clan Hunchback 2C, which we back up to engage at range and manage to score a mostly intact salvage.
Spare parts for everyone.
A quick repair and we're back in the action. There are a bunch of large enemy signals on my radar that haven't engaged us though, so I decide to take the time to first capture the turrets and salvage on the west side of the base. I'm assuming we're about to hit the main defender, so I open up a section of wall behind me to allow a quick escape if needed. But, almost disappointingly, all of the signals are for enemy vehicles, mostly missile carriers. I really thought there would be stronger resistance for a mission that allows 400 tons to be loaded up, but I guess the time limit and plethora of turrets were intended to be the real challenge here. Though I'd like to, there's no time to explore further, so I proceed in destroying both generators.
Mission objective
So much for
complete.
that.
Mission successful.
Hunter is now promoted to Elite Mech Warrior, meaning he can now effectively pilot Assault-class mechs.
Commendation for low drop weight.
We also score some solid clan tech salvage. There's no need to repair after the last mission, so we're right off to the
Commencing
next.
deployment. Mech warriors prepare for combat.
Here, we're tasked with destroying an enemy supply train. We're immediately dropped off on top of a mountain overlooking 3 hunchbacks across the water to the north. I run up and inflict some free damage before they head to the east to link up with the train. I'm cut off with no jump jets, so I head to the southeast where I can make my crossing. A few medium-range Rommel takes stand in my way, but I take care of them without too much trouble and head to the tracks. Heading northeast, I begin to engage the enemy escorts, which consist of 3 light Ullers and the 3 medium hunchbacks from earlier. I score a knockdown and kill on the first Uller while continuously backing up to stay ahead of the train and most of the enemies. The Ullers are peppering me with long-range autocannon fire, but my damage output is superior and I manage to take out the second from long range as well.
Hunter here. Spare parts for everyone.
I avoid shooting the train for now, as I think if I stop it, the escorts will all break an attack, which I really don't want to happen. I score a knockdown on the third Uller, which is now legged, and the hunchbacks are getting impatient. They try to run around the Uller, and one of them steps on the back half of the train, destroying himself and detaching the train cars. Nice. I continue to back off and fight, but I'm beginning to run out of map, so I decide to go ahead and destroy the locomotive. As I feared, this does prompt the defenders to charge in and, even in their damaged state, the two remaining hunchbacks are still dangerous. They prove the point by decimating my refit truck with a well-placed hit from a heavy autocannon. They're fast enough to keep up with me, but luckily they miss several autocannon shots in a row, and I take down the first of them.
I'm on it, sir. Hunter here. Spare parts for everyone.
The second pursues me to the southwest, where I begin taking fire from a surprise enemy Centurion waiting ahead of the group. I loop back to the north to take care of the damaged hunchback first, then turn my attention to the fresh Centurion. He's loaded with medium to long-range weaponry in the form of LRMs and an autocannon, with some backup lasers. What follows is a protracted duel between my damaged Mad Cat and the Inner Sphere Mech. I'm out of Gauss rifle ammo, so it's down to energy weapons only. But I eventually get the upper hand and score the victory.
Fire. Say adios. Spare parts for everyone.
We're heavily damaged now with no way to repair, but all that stands in our way is a legged Uller, so I move in to finish him off.
I think you guys like me. You got it. Ejecting.
Mission failed.
I bet you didn't expect that to happen. Neither did I. I'm still not exactly sure what occurred, but somehow I went from this to this in one shot. All I can think of is he blew through our back armor. Anyway, there's no choice now but to head back in and try again. The next round goes similarly to before. I destroy two of the Ullers and leg the third. One hunchback again decides to step on the train, blowing himself up. I stop the train and kite the remaining two to the southwest to try to stay at range to avoid too much autocannon damage.
I'm on it, sir. Enemy mech destroyed. Yes, sir. Hunter here. I'm taking fire. Enemy mech destroyed.
It's deja vu, and again it's me against one remaining legged Uller. But this time I managed to save my refit truck and I'm not taking any chances. Once the Uller is gone, there's just one train car remaining.
I'm on it, sir.
Mission objective complete. Mission successful. Commendation for low drop weight.
Preparing for our next mission, I'm offered another mine layer, which I gladly purchase, bringing our total to 2. I take it, a scout car, and refit truck along for this next mission.
Commencing deployment. Mech warriors prepare for combat.
We've arrived at the final mission for Operation 2. Our objectives are to capture the enemy base HQ and defend it against attacking enemy units. The twist is we only have 6 minutes to capture it, so there's no time to waste. I immediately begin my assault from the north, dispatching enemy tanks and an Uller light mech. I order my mine layer to begin setting down a defensive line while defeating the remaining resistance with my Mad Cat. I secure both turret controls, the HQ building, several salvage buildings, and, most importantly, the sensor control, which will give me some advance warning on approaching enemies. There's no time to relax though, as we're immediately attacked by 2 commandos. I dispatch them quickly. Then, as I'm trying to lay mines on the road to the southwest, my mine layer comes under attack from a group of vehicles. It gets away safely as they basically run over every mine I've laid in their path. Following directly behind a mine layer is probably not the best strategy. I put it back to work setting up defenses when I notice more enemy contacts approaching from the west and north. I send my Mad Cat to engage the 2 hunchbacks to the west. Man, they have a lot of these things, don't they? I draw them into the mines and defeat the first one. The second one follows soon after. Then the real attack begins. 3 Centurion mechs approach from the north. As they're approaching a bridge, I drop a large artillery strike to destroy the bridge and any mechs I manage to catch in the blast. The timing could have been better, but I still managed to destroy one of them. A follow-up small artillery strike inflicts damage on the remaining 2, as well as destroying a tank in the process. Now the base itself is under attack. 2 Hollanders pass through the minefield and begin engaging my Mad Cat and the base defenses. I critically damage the first and get a knockdown. The second steps closer and begins attacking the HQ building with the Gauss rifle. If the building is destroyed, the mission will be a failure, but I'm able to dispatch him before he can finish it off. In the midst of it all, I manage to get a quick layer of mines reset in the north as the second Hollander gets finished off by my Mad Cat and a turret shot. There's no time to repair and rearm though, as the remaining 2 Centurions approach and begin destroying my mine layer. I return it at full speed to the base and the Centurions pass through some of the remaining mines. I get a knockdown on one of the enemies, but need to back off my damaged Mad Cat. I'm hoping the turrets can do some additional work in the meantime. But the Centurions close the distance and begin attacking the HQ building. There's no time left. I need to stop them now.
Hunter here. Enemy mech destroyed. I'm on it, sir.
Mission objective
Spare parts for
complete.
everyone.
Mission successful.
25 total units destroyed, 10 enemy mechs, while 245 tons under the maximum drop weight. On the first try, no less. Solid work. This marks the end of Operation 2 and the second part of this challenge playthrough, but there's plenty more to come. Thank you so much for watching this far. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider supporting this channel as it will help me continue to create classic game challenges in the future. Take care.